Have you ever noticed your dog move quietly, deliberately to stand between you and a stranger at the door? Not barking, not growling, just positioning. Like they made a decision you didn't ask them to make. You probably smiled at it, maybe called it sweet, but something about it felt bigger than sweetness. Something about it felt ancient. Your dog isn't just protecting your body. Something far deeper is happening inside their brain, and it starts long before any stranger ever appears. Here's what nobody really tells you about dogs. Protection isn't their first instinct. Attachment is. Before a dog ever stands between you and danger, something quieter happens. They learn you. They study the rhythm of your footsteps, the particular way you exhale when you're tired, the sound of your voice when something is wrong. They don't do this with everyone. They do this with times because somewhere in the architecture of their emotional world, you became significant. You became theirs. This isn't instinct in the cold, mechanical sense. It's closer to what psychologists describe as attachment, the deep, felt sense that someone's presence means safety. Dogs experience something remarkably similar to what developmental psychology calls a secure base. You are their anchor, and when an anchor feels threatened, everything in them responds. So when your dog steps in front of you, they're not performing protection, they're expressing it. What looks like guarding is actually love that has no other language. But here's what makes this even more extraordinary. Your dog has been reading you long before that moment ever arrives. Think about the last time you were anxious before an important conversation. Your shoulders tightened, your breathing changed, your voice, even in casual sentences, carried a different quality. You might not have named it as fear, but your dog already knew. Research into canine cognition consistently finds that dogs are remarkably attuned to human emotional states, processing vocal tone, facial expression, posture, and even subtle changes in body chemistry that we don't consciously register ourselves. Your dog is, in a very real sense, an emotional mirror. They live in a constant state of gentle awareness of how you're doing. Not because they were trained to, because over thousands of years of living alongside humans, this sensitivity became woven into who they are. There's something both beautiful and quietly humbling about that. The creature curled at the foot of your bed has been paying closer attention to your emotional state than most humans in your life. To understand why, you have to go back further than any individual dog, further than any breed, any training method, any leash or command. You have to go back to when dogs were still wolves living in cooperative packs, where survival depended not on individual strength but on protecting the unit. Those early wolves didn't just guard territory. They guarded times, relationships. The pack was the thing worth defending. And as wolves slowly became dogs through thousands of years of proximity to humans, something remarkable happened. They transferred that ancient loyalty. The family unit shifted. You became the pack. This isn't metaphor. This is evolution. Your dog doesn't protect you because you feed them, though you do. They protect you because deep in the neurological inheritance they carry from ancestors who survived by staying loyal to their group. You are their group. Safety is a social emotion for dogs. They don't guard places. They guard the people who make them feel that the world is okay. And this is where it gets interesting because not all protection is the same. Some dogs protect from a place of security. They move calmly, they assess, they respond proportionally. But some dogs protect from a place of anxiety. They hypervigilant. They react to things that aren't threats. They bark at shadows. They can't relax when you're out of sight. Psychologically, the difference is significant. A dog who grew up without consistent emotional safety, who experienced unpredictability, separation, or early instability can develop what looks like intense protectiveness, but functions more like chronic stress. They're not guarding you from danger, they're managing their own fear. Protection has tipped into hypervigilance, and hypervigilance is exhausting for everyone, including the dog. It's worth noting this not to judge, but to understand. Even overprotection comes from somewhere real. The impulse behind it times I cannot lose this person times is genuine. The intensity is simply the nervous system's response to a history where security was never guaranteed. But here's the part nobody tells you about the specific behavior you've probably noticed dozens of times without naming it. When your dog blocks a doorway or positions their body directly between yours and a stranger's, that's not accidental. Dogs instinctively understand spatial proximity as a form of emotional and physical communication. Standing in front of you sends a message to any potential threat before a single sound is made. It's a declaration, not a performance. Behaviorally, this is called interposing, placing oneself as a buffer. And what makes it psychologically fascinating is that your dog made a decision. They assessed the situation, evaluated the social dynamic, and chose a position that they understood, somehow, would communicate protection. That's not reflex. That's something closer to intention. Picture a woman walking home late at night, her dog slightly ahead, body language shifted, the dog's ears forward, steps deliberate. The dog didn't need to be told there was something to watch. It noticed the change in her pace, the held breath, the way her body had gone quiet, and the dog moved to the front, silently, to be the first line of whatever came next. Then there's the kind of protection that has nothing to do with physical threat at all. A child lies awake during a thunderstorm, the kind of fear that lives in the chest. And the dog, without being called, without being asked, pads quietly down the hallway, pushes open the door, and lies down beside the bed. Not because a storm is dangerous, but because the child is afraid and the dog felt it. A veteran sits in a room where everything is technically safe, but internally the anxiety is rising, familiar and unwelcome. Before the veteran fully registers it, the dog has already moved closer, not in alarm, in comfort, creating a warmth, a weight, a presence that says, you are not alone in whatever this is. Dogs, it turns out, don't only respond to external threats. They respond to internal ones too. Emotional co-regulation, the phenomenon where one nervous system helps calm another, isn't unique to humans. Dogs appear to participate in it naturally, moving toward distress rather than away from it. They become, in the moments when it matters most, something like an anchor dropped into turbulent water. Not fixing the storm, just holding steady. What changes as you and your dog age together is the texture of this protection. With a young dog, protection is often big alert, reactive, visibly urgent. As the bond deepens and the dog learns that you move through the world with some consistency, that protection becomes quieter, more knowing. Less about displaying watchfulness, and more about simply being close. The nervous energy settles into presence. The protection matures into companionship. You might barely notice it anymore, but it's still there, in the way your dog angles their body at the park, in the way they wake before you realize you're crying, in the way they follow you from room to room, not anxiously, just attending. Perhaps what's most profound about all of this is what it reveals about the nature of protection itself. Your dog cannot say times I care about you. They have no words for the specific ache of loyalty, no vocabulary for the feeling that your well-being matters to them beyond any logical reason. So they express it differently. They position their body. They watch with quiet attention. They stay close when the world feels uncertain. Protection, for your dog, is not a function. It's not a job. It's the physical language of love from a creature who has no other way to say it. Maybe you thought your dog was just loyal, or well-trained, or naturally alert, but perhaps what's really happening is simpler and stranger and more moving than any of that. Perhaps your dog simply learned, somewhere in the long, wordless time of being with you, that your safety matters to them, not as an instinct, not as a command, as a choice. Think about your dog for a moment. Has there ever been a time when they noticed danger, fear, or sadness before you did? Share your story in the comments. I read every one.